Hello, and welcome back for another edition of the AI Insiders. This is the podcast that's about people who make AI go. Go where? Well, hopefully we'll figure that out here, since the aim of this podcast is in fact to try and get a better understanding of where AI, that nebulous term, may be headed by talking to the folks who are helping shape that very direction. Hi, I'm Adam Russell, the director of the AI division at University of Southern California's Information Sciences Institute, and your host for the AI Insiders, where it's my privilege to be able to talk with our own AI insiders, who include everyone from AI luminaries who've been in their fields for literally decades, but also, and very much to my enjoyment, the chance to talk to the AI up-and-comers. These are the young folks, I can now say that like an old man officially, and the early talent who could, as you'll see, be working literally anywhere, but instead to choose to be here, working at the scene of what may be our species' most significant technological inflection point as we create and embed and interact with increasingly capable machines. And ideally, these are the folks who are also working on our behalf to help that inflection point turn out well for all of us on Team Human. So here to our team today comes Shushan Arakelyan. Shushan is a research assistant at ISI and is also currently getting her PhD in computer science. We'll also dive into the other things she's doing as we go through this podcast, but I want first to welcome you, Shushan, to AI Insiders.
Thank you so much. It is my pleasure to be here.
Even if you did go to Cambridge, I discovered that looking at your resume, you are at Cambridge. Sorry, I'm an Oxford man myself. But nonetheless, we will put those to the side and work through that eternal enmity. Shushan, one of the things I like to do on this podcast is start with what I roughly call the origin story. I'm an anthropologist by training, right? So I'm going to ask you to come up with your origin story. You're going back in time and you're talking to 10-year-old Shushan, and you're explaining to her what you in fact are doing and why you're doing it here.
To be entirely honest, I have always been very excited about science. So 10-year-old me did not think of computer science. I was dreaming probably more of astrophysics, but I think my 10-year-old me would still be very excited.
So 10-year-old Shushan is saying, well, we're going to do astrophysics because that's what 10-year-olds think about apparently. But what are you actually doing? Tell 10-year-old Shushan, like not computer science, but what are you actually working on, getting your hands dirty doing?
To be honest, I find it hard to even talk about this to adults. No, not just so I'm trying to make sure that AI models can reason and they can program. And I'm trying to make sure they can do that in as many various situations as we might be putting them in.
Oh, interesting. So whether it's science or finance or politics.
So this is specifically for programming with like writing code and software. Yeah, you could say that within any particular domain, such as science or healthcare or politics, that would apply.
What if we're not able to do this? What if the capability you're trying to create isn't what if we can't create it?
I'm gonna tell you more. I don't believe that we can create it, but I think we still gotta do our best because we're going to try to incorporate AI models everywhere. I don't think that as we are where we are now, we can have some models that generalize perfectly in every condition.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should foresee that and be prepared for that, and also understand how we're going to deal with that when that happens, when models do not generalize.
Let's flip two sides of the same coin. What are you most worried about with AI and the way it's going now? Like, what's the biggest risk you think, or how does this turn out badly?
I am most worried that we don't have time to stop and think. I am most worried about the speed of the progress and also of the sentiment that you're either building or you're irrelevant.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot of people who, to your point, feel like we just need to find some time to think a little bit more about this.
Yeah, exactly. And I would say I don't know about other people, but I would imagine a lot of people came to science and research because we have the tendency and desire to think deeply about problems, and it just feels so natural that we are forced to essentially abandon that and try to move fast. And
Yeah. Who has time to think, right? We got to keep
yeah,
keep moving
we're
forward.
gonna keep keep pushing the boundary.
Well, and that, that speed has taken a lot of people by surprise. With your background in science and your clear drive, which I think is right to try to understand things deeply, what sciences do you think are missing, or what disciplines do you think are missing in AI at the moment that should be there?
Well, I don't think I'm alone in thinking that we very much need more social sciences
Oh,
experts.
you just saying that for me? That's
Oh, no, no, no. I think it's actually a very common sentiment. Certainly more people, okay, specifically for AI as we know it today with
hmm
LLMs.
hmm large language models.
Yeah, large language models. I do expect that we will see more focus on the human side of AI
hmm
and what is the best way for humans to interact with AI, and more science into that. What makes AI more usable? What makes it more engaging? What makes it helpful? What makes it undesirable, etc.
hmm
And I think it's very interesting if you think of the area of where large language models appeared from, the natural language processing. For a long
hmm
time, it has been focused on the processing part. And it almost feels like we have completely forgotten about the natural language part and why we are even focusing on the natural language. And that is because that is the most comfortable way for humans to interact with a system. But I feel like for the last at least 5 years, we have sort of put the natural language and human part aside and focused a lot on the computational part and focused a lot on accomplishing, technically certain things without
hmm
really thinking about the human side of the human AI interaction, if that makes sense. So I would see a lot more research and a lot more resources sort into that area.
We talk about AI now. What are the problems we can solve with AI as it exists today? AI next, right? What's the AI we need to in the future to do things like really causal reasoning and things you're talking about, right? Being able to develop really capable systems, but then also AI in the wild, which is getting a much better understanding of not just what AI is doing for us, but also what it's doing to us. And so a question I have for you is, one of the amazing things about the large language models is the interface seems like you're having a conversation with the model. And in a very real way, you are. Is that a good thing that it's put into the format where you feel like you're dealing with another person?
I think financially, from the business perspective, that's
That's
I think that's what won us over. I do think that we're just really good at fooling ourselves that if we're having a conversation, then the other
yeah.
side is having the same or similar experience to what we are having. And I think that is a big part of success behind the chat-based AI
Mm,
models. But personally, from my perspective of how I would want to use AI or how I envision myself using AI, I'm not particularly excited about that. I don't think it's very useful or
mm,
enticing for me. Yeah, I don't get the vision, I guess. There's a lot of like AI systems, for instance, like character AI, right? When they're trying to make it human-like interaction with different kinds of characters or different, you know, like to make it seem like, oh, maybe you're talking to, I don't know, a person who likes to make a lot of jokes or a person who's into cooking or whatever. And that just feels a little weird to me, but maybe it's just me.
Well, given how popular character.ai is, I mean, clearly it's appeals to some people. Let me ask you another unfair question then. The teams that we now need require more than just deep learning. The problem with teams is it requires people to be sort of team players, and that can be hard sometimes. But you're part of teams. The other fun thing about teams is they require each person to bring a different skill set or something additional to the team. I call that your superpower. When you join a team, what do you think your superpower is? And I'm sure you're too humble to think of it this way, but humor me. What do you think is a superpower?
No, yeah, that's a good. I guess it depends on the team, first of all. What I'm bringing to the team depends on what they already have.
Fair.
But I would say, like, more generally in life, I have been thinking of that property of, as I had described earlier, of being a scientist and thinking deeply and enjoying that part as my superpower. I think I also have, like, I'm not sure about superpower, but it has certainly took me places, is that I have guts in certain scenarios that are completely, like, I don't know why or how that happens, but sometimes I do things that turned out to be, like, really great for the future. And looking back at that, I'm thinking, like, what was I thinking? How did I think that's worth pursuing, or that's worth, my or other person's, time or whatever? But it turns out to be great.
Do you read a lot?
I do read. Yeah.
Do you read science fiction?
I read science fiction, among other things.
Okay. All right. So here's an unfair question. AI has become sentient. Here it is. All right. It's arrived, super intelligence, and it seems to be confused about humans. And you have the opportunity to give this AI a book, a movie, a poem, I don't know, something for it to ingest that you think will give it profound new insights into these creatures called humans it's dealing with. What would that be, and why?
I am thinking that, like, to be able to do that, we have to have a good understanding of humans ourselves, which we most certainly do not. So, and okay, and I'm going to support, I guess, my claim by citing Viktor Frankl's book on I think it's called The Meaning of Life. What, or was it?
Search for meaning, I think.
Man's Search for Meaning, yes. And isn't it fascinating? Isn't it completely unexpected and completely, how can you explain something like that? It is still completely mind-boggling that humans can be that way. So
For those who haven't read the book, do you want to unpack it a little bit? Because as I recall, he's a Holocaust survivor.
so it's talking about the struggle to keep existing, and how people in Holocaust during Holocaust concentration camps, how they kept, like, essentially hoping and coping and living through their day-to-day life, trying to survive for another day, another week. And I don't know, like, when I read that book, I was completely shook that humans can be that way. Humans can go through unimaginable, unspeakable, like, completely horrible existence, and they still try to survive, and they still keep hope, they still keep being human. I don't know, how can you ever understand that, or how can you ever explain it?
I mean, you started this on the premise that we need to understand ourselves first to help the AI understand us. But I think you've captured something really essential about our species there, which is maybe it's the questions, right? I don't know. Maybe there's not an answer, but yeah. How is that even possible? It's a very human thing to ask in itself. So I like your answer.
Thank you.
For what it's worth. You don't need my approval, but it's a great one. What do you think currently is the most misunderstood concept in AI?
Oh, this one is easy. So we have already touched upon the fact that how having a dialogue with AI fools us into thinking that we are talking to an intelligent being, or something that possesses some sort of intelligence. And naturally from there comes the like we expect it to be able to reason the same way that we do. We expect
Must.
it to be able to
Yeah.
yeah. And it's I think that's the easiest thing that is most misunderstood, because that is not how AI currently works. And you shouldn't expect it to be able to do calculations or things like deducing correct answers or things like that. But
Right.
people routinely do.
Which we would expect of another human to some degree.
Exactly.
And that's the problem. Yeah. No, that's fair. And the irony being that in some cases, I refer to AI as alien intelligence. If we stopped calling it artificial intelligence, but instead accepted like it's these different kinds of intelligences, perhaps maybe we would use them a little bit better. The way we work with animals, for example. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pulling that. I want to make sure that we touch some speed round questions, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. Would you rather have AI choose all of your music or all of your clothes for the rest of your life?
Well, AI is already choosing all of my music. Hasn't that been the case for all of us? So yeah, I would actually happily bring it in to choose all of my clothes.
Yeah, that it would, at least I would have plausible deniability. I only have myself to blame at this point. Would you rather see AI surpass humans in creativity or empathy?
Well, I certainly hope that it does not surpass humans on creativity,
Why?
because it's fun. Because we want to keep the fun things for ourselves. It's just yeah. Maybe I can sacrifice empathy. And I mean, who would bet? Who would lose from more
Yeah.
empathy in the world? So let's do that.
All right, we'll go with that. I like that approach. Do you have any pets?
I do. Yeah, I have
Mm,
a puppy.
okay. Is it like working with AI?
Oh, yeah. So actually, very interesting. No, not at all. I think he's a lot smarter than AI, and it's surprising like how smart dogs are, and
Yeah.
our AI is not even there yet.
Maybe if we had AI that soiled our carpets more often, we would treat it more seriously. Maybe that's what we
Maybe.
need. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe. All right. Well, Shushan, thank you very much for coming on the podcast. We're running out of time.
Thank you. Thank you again so much for having me here. I have really enjoyed talking to you, and I would love to be a guest again in a couple
Uh,
years.
I would love to have you there. Because again, you can literally go anywhere. And by the sounds of it, you may yet go everywhere. But for now, thank you for being here. And if I may, for answering a call that maybe you don't even know is being asked of you, although my suspicion is you're aware of it. That call is out there, right? We need you. We need your perspective. We need others as well to help us thread this needle and end up with AI that I think can help us realize a truly brilliant future for all of us.
Yeah, it is a big honor, and it's a very exciting time to be.
Here, here.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Shushan. For our listeners, if you enjoy these short podcasts, please do that thing. Give us this thing called stars. I'm looking into this. I'm new to the podcast, but we could use those stars. Subscribe, spread the word. But I was very excited to find that we're getting feedback. That's very useful. So if there are questions you want us to ask, things we can delve into a little bit more with our AI insiders, please let me know. And of course, just keep listening and, like me, learning. And then join us, please, again for another episode of AI Insiders, where we'll continue to navigate our way through this weird, worth emphasizing, weird world, trying to do what humans do best when they face these kinds of challenges, working together as if all our lives depend on each other, because they do. So for now and for the future, fight on.